Welcome back. Thank you for hanging out with us. This is a special edition of the IT and the D Show. We're hanging out on the floor at the CXO Exchange. Is it Winter Wonderland, Brian?
Oh, it's Winter Wonderland.
It is freezing
It's
outside.
Winter Frozen Land.
But we're hanging out here in the Madison Lofts down in beautiful Detroit, Michigan. I'm your host, Bob Waltonspiel. Co-host, new one for this episode, Brian the Schneebly. Is that right?
Yeah, you got the nickname right.
He's one of the hosts of the Great Security Debate podcast. Along with us for this show, we got two guys from UWM. We got Steve Monato in the house, Ken SOwinski. We're going to be talking AI. You were on a panel.
Yeah.
So what was, I guess, talk to me first about what the panel was, then let's dive into what you're doing for day job, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so the panel was great. We covered a lot in regards to like a lot of AI use cases and how to govern your entire organization. A lot of discussion around data and security around AI, and so it was good discussion overall. So
AI has turned into the cloud conversations like 2008, right?
I think
Where
so.
It's just this over this term. I guess let's dive in a little deeper. Like, you know, and that was kind of the running joke 2 years ago with, oh, if you're going to talk to me about data and security, then we're getting, you know, clean data. We're getting the hell out of here. And so, like, I guess talk to me through about like what AI meant to you or means to you, or what kind of some of the use cases you guys were getting into.
A lot of the use cases. So let me start with what AI means to me. So we talked about it in regards to like where we kind of came from, and in regards to like I remember the Sony iBot. In regards to that random dog, but now it's evolved into so much more different things.
The dog has evolved into so many more.
I would hope the dog would have evolved. I mean, we have the Boston Dynamics robots that are kind of cool.
It's just getting to the point where they can put a sentry gun on it and an automatic sensor, and then it's getting sold to the military. But I'll digress. That's another show for another day. Go.
No, honestly, I enjoy the discussions around data and understanding where our data is being used, how people are using it, how they're looking to protect it, and trying to figure out ways to like protect your data from being used for AI and malicious use cases at the end of the day.
So let's do a little, not a history lesson. Let's go back a little bit, because I don't think we were never prepared for this. If you look at if you go back to like 2000, and when was the first data lake companies, like 2015, 16, maybe a little bit earlier, and maybe you put some management on it that was a little bit machine learning, right? But like there was data sprawl going on since we started. Like there's stuff everywhere, and if we never knew that it needed to be clean and ubiquitous, right? And then the data lake, you just dumped everything in there, and maybe you had some management consoles, and now we're at the point where like, oh, it all needs to be like in this super clean environment, and we need to find everything, and it needs to be perfect because garbage in, garbage out for AI modeling. I guess the task wasn't insurmountable because people are doing it today, but like, was this like a oh my god moment where you had to find out like this is where we need to be and like basically clean up 15 years worth of data sprawl?
I think every company is going to be going through that regardless.
Yeah.
Everybody has a drawer, right? Where it's like, where did you put all the asset tags that go on this machinery, right? And like, if you ask the customer, they're like, you put it on the machine, right? It's like, yeah, right? It's like, oh my God, we went from having 20 to now we got 1,000 asset tags inside this drawer. Like, where do we sort all this stuff? That's data. Like, it just kept building up. You had the stuff that you were using on a day-to-day basis, but you had all this unstructured data that now from an AI standpoint has become, I'll use the word sexy. Is that okay? Sexy.
We can use that term.
It's a winter wonderland.
It's before noon.
It's okay.
Well, I think that's just it. If you're going to talk AI, you got to talk data. You got to have controls around your data. You got to have labeled correctly, and you have to ensure that the right people are only seeing the right data. Because if you give somebody a bot, they're going to do who knows what with it. So you have to ensure that the data that they're putting in the model is not getting outside of your environment.
So that's the data part, but you just said the bot part, right? So like I look at this as like a human resources side, right? And who's the human resources over now all of your AI, whether it's bots, agents, etc., right? Like now who's managing, who does the onboarding for that identity, right? And how do you know how many of those you have as well? There's the data side of it.
Well, there's the ones we know about, and Monato and his team handle that, and then there's the ones that we don't know about and we find. So, but that's where you have security controls. But you know what we've done is we've built a a board to a review board for anything coming in that has AI, any part of it. So that was our control.
So now now I've seen there's companies getting birthed every day. One of those which, let's say you have 6 different files that are all kind of the same files, and they weren't deduped out because they're necessary to be in 6 places. One gets changed, and now you have 5 of them that aren't changed or updated, and so now there's companies out there that are like making those all the same. And that gets me into kind of my next question is, you guys are getting hammered by pretty much every vendor. There's a new Fiji.ai. I'm just looking at your water bottle. There's a new Coffee.ai. There's a new AI coming out every 2 hours, if not every 2 seconds, Brian, because you're in that world more than I am. What are you guys doing to get rid of the seeing through, I guess, who's legit, who's not, what's useful, what's not? Because you could have meetings all day with every vendor that's coming out and never do your job. How do you filter through some of these things that are going on?
Honestly, that's kind of where, so we took the approach of similar to like how security professionals take it, like that defense in depth. We put layers in place to figure out what that strategy is. We've engaged our organization at the highest levels to make sure that, one, they set the strategy, because we know as IT people, your business is always going to tell you what they want, and you're going to have to figure out a way to deliver it. And so really at the end of the day, we put those levels, we made sure that they were at least a part of the conversation, so that way they're not coming up with the next, again, Coffee.ai that they got promoted on their social media feed. I'm like, I want to use this tomorrow.
Right.
And I was like, no. That completely destroys everything that we've already built for you. And we want to be able to like, hey, how we get involved in the beginning and help you make that informed decision at the end of the day. So that way you're not making some random decision like, I'm going to buy this tomorrow, Bob. And it's like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Well, and that's the thing though. Once you get into POC, once you've proven it out, once you said, yeah, this works, it's changed again. Yeah. Like it's all every day where something's new, something's different, and you could do it. And you could do POCs one a week for the next 50 years, just on stuff that's out today.
I was gonna. So back what you were just saying, this is where I think the vendor community, all of them should have trust centers. Swear to God, not spreadsheets that you send me, not me asking for forms, just a place I can go. Like what you said was, team member comes to me, this business unit comes to me, Coffee AI, hey, we're going to go buy this, right? Without having to have you send me an introduction email to introduce me to this person, to ask this question, to pass me along to this person. No, I go right to their, whatever their domain is, their website, open up their trust center, look at all their documentation. Guys, we love to work with them. Here's some issues right there. They can continue the conversation about how they need to fix X, Y, or Z, or provide this, right? Or put this in front of me. And as long as we have that, we can then begin the next steps of moving forward.
I don't disagree with you on that, honestly. Like, if your organization doesn't have like at least a third, and you're talking third party risk now, that's one of my jams. Honestly, like if you have an organization and you don't have, let's say, a third party risk management team to kind of look over those things, or at least ask your vendors on that, okay, you're already doing yourself a disservice at the end of the day, because you need to start asking those questions. I touched base on it in the panel. Like, you should have some of these questions being asked. Like, what does your SOC 2 report look like? What kind of controls are you actually doing at the end of the day? How are you defining your AI model? Is it machine learning? Is it agentic? Is it generative? What exactly are you doing with my data at the end of the day? And again, back to the data question. Like, what are you doing with that? Are you training your entire model off of my X value dollar company, and now it's proprietary to you?
Right.
Questions to be asked and thought about.
Brian, I'm curious just to get your take on this. We haven't talked in a while, so like a lot of people think AI right now is like you throw Copilot on and you're saving Jim in accounting an hour a week because you just automated some tasks. And I
would say 2 hours.
I just threw it arbitrary. We can say 3. Let's go 2. Fine.
2.5
hour and 40 minutes. But then the question becomes, what is? So this was a big argument we were having at a company downtown last week. Like, well, what are they doing with that hour and 40 minutes that they just saved by putting in? And then it basically came down to, and I'm just curious of your take, it came down to middle management enabling Jim in accounting or Susie in HR to like do something that's innovative. But what does that even mean? So like, I'm just curious to get your take on too.
This is my human approach, and this is where I think like, granted, this comes from 16 years working for a Japanese company. Human investment, right, in leaders not managers, in leaders, in leadership, you couldn't get promoted until the person underneath you was ready to take your role. You also couldn't get promoted unless your dokie, the same people that hired at the same time as you, were also ready to get promoted. So it didn't matter if I was working 16 hours, traveling all the time, taking on this extra job, etc. They looked at it as I did a disservice. They're like, but this person, Bob needs also. So my job was then to work with you to get you leveled up. So the harder I worked here, the harder I made it for myself until we were all working together. Now, I'm not saying this is what every company is going to do, et cetera. But what your question just said, what do you do with that extra hour, hour and a half? The same reason why you invest time into your children, because you want them to be future leaders, right, is the same thing you should be doing with the people that work underneath you, future leaders. Like, this is where I look at, this is that time value that goes back to operational consistencies in the human factor, right? When you look at some of the busy roles, I can think back to, and let's talk, like, I'm going to, like, not try to blow up an AI conversation by throwing AL into it, aluminum, right? Like, but take the aluminum fire that occurred just a month ago, followed by a second one. And I look at this as supply chain, right? Instantly, General Motors, other OEs reached out to X number of aluminum companies and said, hey, we need all your resources, all your material. Right? And I say this because I have a family member that works in the aluminum industry and was like, overnight, they're being told, hey, we can't honor any of your contracts. And they were like, but wait a second. These contracts supply these people that make parts for GM, for Ford, right? Like, so yeah, you're getting material, but we still need material over here. So what ends up happening though is now you're up till 2, 3 in the morning going through all your spreadsheets, configuring all the weights and everything else, right? So this is where I get into the automation part. Because this isn't, hey, can you get this to me next week? This is, I need this tonight, and then you send it, and then you got to do it again. Like when the tariffs came out, anybody that was working in automotive on the supply chain side, every night you were up doing 4 or 5 iterations to supply to management who was taking that to the U.S. government to have conversations, right? So what would be helpful is, and this is where I go into the automation to be able to look at the data that you have, right? To automate some of those processes, right? And be able to ask it questions and prompt it to do the things. You're prompting it with the same question your top management's doing, because then they're coming back because they had a second thought, like, you know what, we should probably look at it this way. It's like, hey, we also want to look at this way. It's like, oh my God, like now I got to go back and redo all of this, right? A lot of manual processes there, right? It simplifies that ability to prompt it, but you're still intelligently working with your data. You understand where your data came from, you're putting it together for your management, et cetera. This allows you also then to take that additional time to go back to the team to explain to them why we're doing the activity, what the impacts could be to our business, right? Like, look at this. We just summarized that all this cold roll 270 is gonna go up by 35% because of where we get it from. Here is the impact in month 1, 2, 3, all the way to month 6. If this continues, this is how we bleed. And if you can put those numbers in front of somebody faster, that's great, but it also allows you to spend time instead of waking up 2 hours later, dead tired, a little bit on edge, and now the people that you're managing, when they ask you a question, you're like, just go back to work and get that done, right? That's the point, right? Like, this is where you're investing more time back into people with those hours that you were spent busy working for management. I don't know if that lands with you, but that's my feeling of it.
It only lands with me if you enable someone to be able to go do that. If that person never has the ability to tell upper management about what he or she just found, right? I think that was the whole issue, was empowering people to do something that's innovative or to bring information forth. That's not, maybe it needs to go through a chain of command.
And this is where, when it comes to technology leaders, understanding your business, right? So like when you're embedded with the business and you understand, one, what your business does, how you guys make money, how the people in this business, part of your business, interact with, say, customers, how they interact with this other group. This is where it becomes important for the technology leaders to be like, when you get to know those people, right? And they're like, so wait, why were you up till 2 a.m? Why? What's going on, right? And you understand, it's like, show me what it is you guys work on. The more you understand what it is they work on, right? And how they have to answer questions or put information together for teams, then that's where it's like, I might have a way, because what they may come to you with, hey, a friend told me about this tool that does this, right? And it's like, cool tool, but let me show you something else.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the key factors that you brought up, is that you have to have those relationships with those other teams in order to know what they're doing, because again, that social media post that they're seeing about X, Y, and Z tool, it's like, hey, if you actually have an idea, they're going to be more prone to coming to you versus seeking out their own tooling. And then having, again, you have your own problems again with like shadow IT, shadow AI, all of that. So that's one of the, you brought up a good point of just like, if you have those relationships built, they're going to come to you like, I need a solution. Can I work with you on this? Versus I need a solution. I found Bob selling me this thing. I'm going to go buy this.
Bob.ai.
Yeah. Bob.ai.
Because if you just tell someone no, like Ken, if you tell somebody no, right, and then they're like, I can't keep doing this every night for the next month as all these tariffs keep changing. Like, this is just becoming too much. They're going to find a way.
They'll find a way, for sure. Absolutely. The more you empower your people, the further you're going to get. They know their job better than anybody else. So, and if you build the relationships with the right teams that can help them and doesn't scare them, IT or AI, just like machine learning back in the day, scares people because it's going to take their job. If I automate this, what am I going to do? Well, if you show them that we automate that and their job gets more fun and more interesting, they're going to work with you even more. And if you make their life easier and they don't have to work all night, to your point, then they're going to like you and they're going to come to you more often.
So Ken, talk to me about this. Like I think we're in stage 3 kind of AI. First one is, what is it? Second one was, let's POC this out and we deploy it. And now let's find business value. Kind of going through Brian's story and kind of going through what you were just saying, you know, if let's say you can get those people empowered and get them to innovate using that hour and a half just from Copilot, and not including the other tools, how do you equate that business value then upstairs, or like what in terms of driving innovation? Because this is an old argument from HP going 80% to fix, break, fix, 20% to innovate, but it feels like it's the same. Like, how do you taking that that extra time, that driving that innovation, not staying up till 2 a.m. How do you look at that from a true business value driver?
So I think you can do one of two ways. You can continue on doing a manual process and having to add more people, or you can keep the same team and you can use automations, whatever level it is, machine learning or AI, and you can not grow anymore, and you can speed the team up, you can speed the process up, whatever your process is, right? Because we all have a job, we all have a role to fulfill, whether it's provisioning accounts, or in our case, processing loans, or if I can do that faster, and you can show upper leadership that, they're going to be happy, they're going to invest more, and they're going to want more of it, and then they're going to come to you with the next use case, like, hey, we see these guys are slower, can you help them out? So I think that's how we drive value, and it's really about relationships and communication at the end of the day. We're in IT, and not a lot of IT people, or some IT people are not great at communicating, right? They like to dig in, get hands down, and just get the job done, right? But if they don't communicate with senior leadership and show the value that they're providing, whatever the solution is, then you're not going to get the buy-in from senior leadership. So it's all about communication and relationships.
See, that goes back to my age-old argument that everybody in IT is a sales guy, and then my friends got really mad at me when I said that. I go, you got to sell, you got to get your budget, you got to sell your project, you got to sell what you're doing, you got to sell yourself.
Everybody technically is in some type of a sales role.
Makes some of my old friends super angry.
Like, even if you're out, like, if you end up losing your job today, right? That resume you built is technically your sales pitch, right? Mm-hmm. That's your data sheet. That's your white paper. Your ability to explain how you did project A on there or project B, right? Everything else up here is going to look the same as the other 5,000, or now because of AI, 76,000 applicants that applied for that role, right? It's your ability to answer those projects and what you did to solve those projects. So it goes back to your point. The more you get involved, the more you understand the business. It also gets people excited because, and this is where, and I'm going to do the whole Admiral McRaven thing. There's a great book, too, which I like to tie books in. I think it's The Wisdom of a Bullfrog. But McRaven was the one that did the speech at University of Texas graduation. And the 10 things he went through, the first one he started with, and by the way, the reason they call him the Bullfrog, is the longest living and was the longest serving Navy SEAL in the history of command, right? So he starts with number 1, right? Make your bed in the morning. Right? And
That's
why?
Not happening.
See, Bob? See? The problem is you accomplish too many things, so you don't need to make your bed.
I don't.
And this is why. Why do you make your bed in the morning? He makes this point, right? You make your bed in the morning because it will be the first thing you accomplished. And what happens throughout the span of your day, right? And this is also goes back to the military because their job, or not their job, but part of the role is breaking them down throughout the day, right? You're not good enough. You're going to give up, right? And at the end of the day, you get back to that bunk and you see you made your bed. And they've already explained to him
You're
the
like,
reason.
now I got to take the sheets off. Son of a
Jeez, you see? But the whole purpose there was, and they would remind him, when you look at that, remember that you did accomplish something. And he goes, this
bar is
was...
super low, Brian. I'm just.
Hold on, but I'm going back to the people part here, right? The reason for that, and this goes back to managing people, because when you're working, whether you're just an analyst role, middle management, no matter what role, every day, you're not going to have Ken and Steven coming to you saying, hey, just want to let you know you did a great job today. Great job. That does happen, but it's not every day. You're not going to get that positive encouragement every day, right? But people need that, right?
Indeed.
We need that as humans. Like it's this human where when you're not getting it and you feel like, man, my job and my tasks just get harder and harder and harder, and I feel like I'm not doing something to make it better. The reason you feel that way is someone hasn't really acknowledged it, right? And at the end of the day, you get back to your room and you see you made your bed and you remind yourself, I did accomplish something today. But where am I going with that? We need to remind those that work for us that they did accomplish something. And by also trying to provide tools for problems that they have for them to solve so that they can go show management that they're able to solve problems faster, that you're basically empowering them to have that feeling of McRae. So that's where I was going with it. I don't make your bed, do whatever you want to do,
I'm
but you
not making
accomplish
a
more
bed.
than I do in a day. I have to see my bed at the end of the day. If I don't, I'm like, I just didn't accomplish anything today.
My wife's side's always tucked up, and then mine's always a mess. So it's kind of it's like the dichotomy of our like house and marriage and.
So psychologically, you may be doing it so that she knows she accomplished something and still looks at you as he didn't accomplish anything.
Yeah, she thinks like that anyway. So we're gonna bring up the banned word, and I want to see if it's banned in your world, Steve. Agentic. We're not allowed to say it on the show anymore, even though I just did. And you know, you guys are in an organization with 6, 7, 8,000 people. You guys technically could have millions and millions, hundreds of millions of customers, and you know, there's agents that are external facing that see your brokers. You know, I'm just trying to think through the whole thing. Agents that could look at a prospective mortgage borrower, and then you have the employees, or you have agents that might be helping with tasks. I guess, you know, at what point, I'm just thinking it through. At what point are they valuable, and at what point is it like, just let me talk to somebody type of thing? I guess, are you guys? I've seen that you guys deployed them. I'm just like curious as to the thought process and where you guys are at.
So, no, that's a good question. So a lot of it is, if somebody's doing it better and somebody's selling it, why am I investing time to make it? So are we finding value in it? Yeah. There's certain value in certain propositions in regards to the business unit or whoever's using it. Yeah, they're probably going to find some value in it, depending upon where it is. But at the end of the day, if X, Y, and Z, if Bob.ai does one task and that's like their bread and butter, well, and they're selling it, why am I going to invest time into making this thing? You know, at the end of the day, because that's wasted time and resource. You're not really empowering somebody to do anything right or anything new that's going to be exciting, that's going to be associated to your business at the end of the day. You got to think about that. Are we finding value in, again, agentic AI? Yeah, depends on the use case. It really depends on the use case and where you're using it from and how much of an accelerator is going to be. You have to look at it holistically at the end of the day. It's like, are we getting the value out of it just because X, Y, and Z person said they wanted this? And like, yeah, we can build it. Anybody can build anything. I remember being in class and somebody, you can program anything. You can also deprogram anything you want.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Including humans.
Including humans. It'll take a little bit more time, but at the end of the day, you really have to think about how well is that going to translate into actual business saved hours per person. We talked about it earlier, empowering your people, how much time you can save them.
It goes back to like calling an automated operator. And then people figured out if you just yelled representative enough, you could get to a human.
Or Mesh
And-
Zero.
Yeah, or Mesh Zero. And now it's a chatbot going, God bless it. I just want to, and at what point, like, you can't judge fatigue because people can just leave a website and you don't even, the marketing people know, but by the time anyone knows that to make a change. So again, how do you juggle even seeing like, chatbot versus human versus people getting angry versus this is helpful, right? I think this, to me, that's an argument I have all the time. Going, where's the line?
That's. I think there's more to come on that on the front a lot of different ways. I don't necessarily have that particular answer. I think what I have seen is from the engagement from talking to a bot, you're gonna understand how many dropped calls and understand like, oh, is this actually functioning?
Yeah.
If they actually are scheduling, let's say we talked about our bot Mia, if it's actually scheduling appointments and people are following through with those appointments. So you're starting to see certain values for us from a UWM side. I'm like, oh, is this actually functioning the way we want it to do? Are we getting an uptick in
So you're able to pull
loans?
analytics from it rather quickly.
Yeah. Now, there is a quality component that you also have to see in regards to, like, who's the human doing the review. I'm like, oh, they dropped. Every time we called this person, they dropped, or this area just seems to drop. Who's doing that? That's a business decision. You got to add some people and figure out what does that look like. Why did you hang up on that call? We wanted to see what's going on. You don't want to save $300 a month on your mortgage? I don't know what's going on. We got a better rate for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. So there's some nuances to it, and I think again it's back to your use case of what you're trying to accomplish.
Like I could throw out in the last 6 months different engagements I've had from a consumer standpoint, right? And I'm just going to call out Kohler. I will probably buy a Kohler faucet like for the rest of my life until whatever they're using chatbot wise.
I've never heard someone have
change.
brand preference on faucets. This is
Because
this is
of
amazing.
my engagement. So I had a leaking faucet, right? And going back to this is where the Google, right? Like 20 years ago, you had a leaking faucet, and I knocked on Ken's door, my neighbor, because Ken was really good with faucets, or at least I thought so. So I'd ask him, how do you fix this? He'd look at it, and if he could fix it, we fixed it together. If not, he's like, you're going to have to call a plumber. So you called a plumber. Today, or like 5-10 years ago, you could Google it, and there's enough YouTube videos, et cetera, that now I just got to watch the YouTube video 5 times to build the confidence to go to Home Depot to buy it, watch the video again, and fix it.
That's how I carved a turkey this year. Yeah.
It's amazing. This is why you accomplish so much. You don't need to make your bed.
Exactly.
Like, look at you.
Exactly. I use that time.
So, but I buy something, right? It's leaking. I try to fix it on my own. It's still leaking. And I finally reach out because I realize what the issue is, and it's a part that's worn out. It's just a simple gasket, and I can't find that same size gasket. So I reach out. They have me scan, the bottom, the code, right? And it instantly tells me the part number, everything else, and they sent me a whole brand new head. Well, the catch was they changed the head size just slightly, right? In the 5 years of manufacturing it. So when I put it on, now it's really leaking, right? And I'm like, ugh. So I'm writing back to the chatbot and I'm explaining like the actual. They're like, no, I can't. I've still yet to talk to a human, right?
You sure? No, I mean, how do you know? Like, that's another weird part.
So, well, because it got to a point in like the 2-week process where then they sent me to somebody, right? So here's my point. So I went through all of that, right? They sent me another one, full head, right? Didn't have to return the other one, put that one on. Also did not work. So I write back in, I'm like, at this point I'm extremely frustrated. Like, you guys changed the size of this. It's either give me a whole new, faucet. And I was saying that, like, not really thinking they would send me a whole new faucet. I was like, it's either I replace it with a brand new faucet or I go back to just letting it leak slowly, right? And they're like, understood. We will send a brand new faucet, transferring you to a live agent. And the live agent was like, we've already put in the order for the whole brand new faucet. Is there anything else I can do for you? And I was like,
Send Jim Kohler here to install it.
I didn't
That's
even
what I was
think.
waiting for.
I didn't even think of that. But so you talk about the engagement, right? Like, and here's where I'm going with like why I tell people like whether it's my father, whether it's my wife, son, how to use AI when you're searching. It's very easy. Like, so this is where you could do Google before, right? to figure something out. Now today, like the idea of coding, right, is like 10 years ago, if you wanted to build a website, you hired somebody that knew how to code and build a website, right? Now it's like the Google, right? Like now I can go in and have it generate the code and build something for me. But that same function can be used for that same faucet. So now what I found is whether you're using, and it's gotten better in the last 6 months. 6 months ago, it wasn't as great, but this is the difference. When you put it into Google, you get a YouTube video that also has ads in it, right? And then underneath that, like the first 5 things you can search or click on are sponsored ads. It's people trying to make money off the problem I have, right? It's like, I just need the damn washer. I have to go through like 20 websites.
Squeegees, mops, buckets, sponges.
Brian's got problems, right? Where now I can literally submit the video of my exact faucet, the name of it, with the prompt of what I'm trying to fix, etc. And it will give me a detailed example of how not only to fix it, but an engagement when I additionally prompt it, what some of the warranty issues have been for that specific model and some of the difficulties people have had finding that rubber gasket, right, with alternatives, right? That's what I want. And that's what it's able to give me. It's like the Netflix right now where it's like, I don't want any ads, right? Like I'm not doing cable TV anymore because I just can't sit through a commercial, right? And that's the commercialization of like your normal search because people are going into Google to try to solve problems. They're asking it this. Right? Versus there is, like when I say I use like DuckDuckGo and Brave, et cetera. But when I'm really searching for like the restaurant I want to go to, I have to go back to Google because it knows me and it's stolen all my data, right? It knows exactly where I like to eat. So I still go back there like, yes, track me everywhere I go and show me where to go eat. Anyways.
So we're going to end on this argument. I've never got anybody mad having a conversation about AI until this one time. Randy and I went to an event and I said, as we were talking, and I go, all AI is really a fancy search engine. And the guy got angry with me, like visibly angry. Like, but was I wrong? And the guy couldn't articulate why I was wrong, but God, he was frustrated and angry. And I'm like, I bet you he's snake oiling something. He's selling Fiji.ai. Am I wrong, Ken? Is this an argument that we can take to the parking lot out back and duel to the death? Or am I kind of onto something?
I think, that goes back to the engagement, right? So you can put a help desk agent or you can put AI agent. If the AI agent can quickly search the solution, then you're going to be happier with AI agent. So in that regard, it's a search agent.
Yeah.
Really is what it is. But it's giving you the info you need quicker than any human could. Whether you do it on a help desk with a chatbot, whether you do it in a SOC with a SIM and a SOAR, it's no different. I mean, it's searching, it's evaluating, but I think it's a search agent on steroids because the agentic part that follows after it finds all of that data is where the value comes.
Sure. And then I'll throw this over to Steve. Like futures of mortgages, the future. What is there? Like, can you just like log in at noon and plug in your stuff and you're going to get approved at 1? Is that where we're moving to? Am I being ambitious? Like, simpler, easier, better, faster. Like that's kind of what
and
everybody's.
You can compare a Bob doing that or a Brian.
Yeah. I just want it done. I don't want to mess around. And it gets forwarded to the realtor. I don't even want to sign anything. I'll pre-DocuSign. Just make it happen. I guess what do you see in terms of the future? Like how do you see this? How do you see the mortgage industry moving?
I think as long as regulation doesn't get in the way, I don't see where that would be a problem. Honestly, because I think the industry is willing to accept the speed.
You're asking government to move faster. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, we know it's not going to happen.
right. But hey, Steve, Ken, appreciate the time. United Wholesale Mortgage. We are here live at the CXO Forum down at the Madison Lofts, and we'll be right back.